What's up, Pokemon trading card game fans? Welcome to episode 90 of the Special Conditions podcast, where our love for Pokemon and collecting collide. Special Conditions is part of the Pokemon Professor Network, and today is Monday, July 19th, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Tuttle, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ken Pescator.
Hi, Adam. Hi. Dude, we got a special guest this week.
We got a special guest?
I'm very excited.
Hi.
That's Frosted Caribou. What up?
What's poppin'? Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm so
welcome
awkward
to the
with
show.
intros, but
It's okay. I'm also
It's all right.
awkward.
We're already over it.
yeah, there we go. Yes, please get it over with.
Well, on today's show, like Ken said, we are joined by special guest Frosted Caribou, and we'll get to know her in a few minutes. TN Comics booster opening. Card of the week is going to be Eternatus VMAX, and the art of the week is Garbodor. Straight garbage.
Yo, I've always had an affinity to Trubbish and Garbodor or Garbodor because I've grew up in the hood in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and like that was like we would always see trash, and I was just like, yo, it's like Trubbish everywhere. Like it was just the funniest thing. I was like, I had such an affinity for good old Trubbish, so I'm very excited.
That's like the happiest way to look at something. That's literal trash.
Like,
that's so
like,
cute.
Yo, Forky was really cute too. Like, you know, Forky was trash.
Wait,
all
is this a Toy Story podcast?
No, look, why don't we act like gentlemen here and introduce ourselves properly. Hi, I'm Ken. This is Adam. And
hi,
welcome
everyone.
to the show, Frosted Caribou. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know what you do in the Pokemon space, and we'll talk about your content, talk about some Pokemon.
Well, hello. I'm Frosted Caribou. Most people just call me Boo for short, to BOU. It's easier. And I'm on YouTube primarily, making Pokemon content both for like TCG players and Pokemon openings as well. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
It's so awesome because that's kind of the parallel with this show specifically. Like I run the network that this show is on, but I wasn't always the host. I would produce the show, and then since the beginning of this show, the concept of it was Adam, who's like the competitor, and then the co-host was like the collector. So there was always that kind of balance between the game and playing the game and opening cards and the experience of both. So
yeah, it was a nice mix.
Yeah, I thought that was a
mix.
cool parallel. Yeah, because it's that's what we love to do is both sides of every bit of the hobby, but like all angles and stuff like that. But how were you introduced to the Pokemon franchise? How long have you been into it? And like, what was like the moment where you said like, okay, I'm a Pokemon fan?
Oh man. Well, I've known about the Pokemon franchise forever. So that's I guess if you're asking like when I got involved with it really was probably about the same time I made my YouTube channel, because I never really played the games or collected cards either when I was a kid. I actually collected more Yu-Gi-Oh! Oddly enough than I did anything Pokemon.
Nice.
The most I collected Pokemon wise when I was a kid was like I had all the little figurines, which were really cute. I loved them. I don't have them anymore, sadly though. But yeah, I didn't really get into Pokemon until early 2019, so very recently. And I was watching YouTube videos, and I saw, I don't know how I got caught in one of those like YouTube holes, the algorithm
That
where
happens.
YouTube sucks you in, And I guess it was Pokemon, and I guess it was because of the time. This was around when Let's Go came out, so a lot of people were getting back into Pokemon on the Switch and everything, and that I was playing that. I used to be a Twitch streamer, so I was playing that on stream, and I was sort of moving away from Twitch content and wanting to do more curated filmed content. And I saw other people opening packs and stuff on YouTube, and I was like, I'm doing this already, and I think it'd be cool to film it. So I kind of just got into it that way. And then shortly after, I was just collecting for probably a couple weeks, and then I was like, I kind of want to like play this. Like I was looking at the cards, and I'm like, there's moves on these cards. Like, how does this game work? Because I was huge into board games and card games and stuff when like growing up. So I've always been in video games as well. So I've always been down for playing games, and I instantly got into playing it and just absolutely loved it. And I've been rolling.
You looked at a Hypno and it was like, use
Yeah.
hypnosis.
It
That
got
Pokemon's
me.
asleep. Why is it asleep?
Yeah.
What does
No,
it mean?
this is the second part of the rabbit hole. That's like when you fall
Yeah.
down even deeper.
That's very true. The first card, the first really nice card I got was a full art Sabrina's Suggestion, and it was so pretty. So I
That
guess
is
that
a
kind of
beautiful
fits in
one.
there.
That's
Sabrina
awesome.
suggested that I should play the TCG.
Listen, now you need that one like framed.
So
it's such a pretty card. I love
Put it
that
in a
one.
shadow box or
So
something.
the progression to actually start filming and like making the content, it seems like it was it like an aha moment, like I'm already doing this stuff, like I'm already opening cards for my own hobby or like my own, benefit. Why don't I just film it?
Yeah,
Of thing.
pretty much. When I first got into it, I was absolutely broke as a joke. I had absolutely no money when I first got into Pokemon, so I actually was not the one funding my Pokemon addiction. It was primarily my boyfriend who had a stable job and excess income, so he was more buying cards, and then I was I was the one opening the cards primarily just to make content out of it because I was transitioning off of Twitch, trying to find what I wanted to get into, and that was the TCG. But the TCG wasn't as prominent on YouTube as openings were, so I figured I could kind of merge the two, which is primarily what my content is nowadays as well. It's merging the two worlds of opening and collecting with TCG and playing as well. So yeah.
Phenomenal. Yeah, that's like those are two very important ins. And I think that each of them has like their own barriers to entry. So when you can combine the two and like kind of increase the value of the hobby, from because you have two different ways to enjoy it. I love that. I think that's an important dynamic. So when you first started, like, do you remember your first piece of content? Like the first thing you ever made and uploaded?
Oh, yeah, I do actually. When I hit, I think it was 20K subscribers on YouTube, I did sort of like a montage of all my older videos. And yeah, it's so funny watching the first video I ever posted, Pokemon on my channel, like Pokemon wise, because in it, I know absolutely nothing about Pokemon. I am so clueless in it. I didn't even know the Pokemon on the box that I was opening. It was a Tapu Koko. I forgot what ETB that is. Is it Crimson Fate? No. I don't remember what ETB that is with Tapu Koko on
Oh
it. Oh, it's
yeah.
Guardians
Yeah, I
Rising.
was gonna
Guardians
say
Rising.
Guardians
Yeah.
Rising.
There it is. So I was opening that ETB and I was like, I don't even know what Pokemon this is. I was purely one of those people who just had not kept up with Pokemon at all. So it was really funny because now I am super knowledgeable in the TCG side, and I know so many more Pokemon now, and I've seen so many more, and this is what I've invested my entire life into now, so I know so much more about it. So it's hilarious to me to see the difference that 2.5 years has made.
I love that, and I think that's a testament to the hobby and the
Yeah.
franchise of the power of how the all powerful, all consuming world of Pokemon can
Yeah.
be where it takes over
At the end of the day, the game is
Yes.
fun. It really is fun.
Yes.
That's the beauty of it. That's literally the icing on the cake is if you get to that point through the collecting, through the openings, and you get down to it and start, putting in work like that. It's all right, this is a whole nother world to enjoy. So
sure.
I love that. I love the transition of kind of coming into the franchise kind of cold.
Not knowing much, yeah.
And, having so much happen so quickly. I love that. But the first time viewer of your content, what kind of is there a sentiment or something you try to get across in your content? If you're opening cards or you're talking about competitive play, whatever it may be, is there something that you try to get across in all your videos, a goal of sentiment or feeling?
Oh yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And it actually kind of ties into what I was just talking about and how I got into the hobby. Or when I first got into the hobby, I knew absolutely nothing about it. But I've learned so much over the years. And that's kind of what I try to touch on in all of my videos is helping people whichever level of Pokemon they're on. So whether they just got into it yesterday or they've been collecting and playing for 20 plus years, I try to tap into kind of all the people who could be involved with Pokemon, just so it's the most welcoming sort of environment possible, because I really think that expanding what Pokemon is, like how many people are involved with it, how long they're involved with it or whatever, like you have to kind of be open to everyone in this hobby, and so there's so many people out there that are just kind of like, oh, you haven't been collecting this long, or you're just like in it for the fad, or like whatever it is. But I guess it shouldn't matter like how involved or not involved or casual someone is in the hobby. It's like if they want to be a part of it, then they should be able to be a part of it. So
Yeah, heck
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's I
for
think
sure.
that vibe and that willingness and that inclusivity is like part of the core tenets of Pokemon at large. Like
Yeah.
it's about being accepting of people. It's about being diverse and having different whatever. Like that's the joy of bringing all the people together. Like I think that if you don't feel that way, it kind of goes against the core, the core culture of what Pokemon stands for, what it's all about. It's all
TCG
about welcoming people in.
The
Yeah,
TCG is super
exactly.
welcoming.
Oh
Like, the
yeah.
whole
Oh,
community.
it's very, very welcoming. Especially the player group as well. Which is kind of another piece to my content. Players are the minority in this hobby, by a long shot. Especially when you compare it to like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic and stuff like that. Like players versus collectors are huge minority. So I try to combine player-esque content, or instead of just like pulling pretty shiny cards that are beautiful and they're great for collecting, I try to go in and kind of explain, this card would be great in this deck, or it would work really well with this card, or, it would be cool to play it this way. And it just intrigues people a little more to maybe explore playing the TCG or trying it out, because so many times people will be like, oh, I love this Pokemon and I love this card, or I love the artwork on this card. And then if you just explain to them like, hey, this is actually a really good card in the TCG, you can actually play it, they're like, really? Like I could play my favorite Pokemon in a deck? That's kind of
Yes.
cool. So it just adds like a whole different dynamic to the hobby. And the game itself has added so much happiness, like a whole different level to my life. And I've met so many cool people that I want to try to share that with as many people as possible. And even if they don't like playing, if they try it out and they don't like it, that's totally fine too. But I definitely want to try to boost those player numbers if I can, because it just adds so much more to my life. And I think it'd be cool to share that with others, I guess.
No, that's amazing to hear. And now taking that that's like, wholesome. You know what I mean? Like that's a warm, fuzzy package that we could talk about, like when it comes to like the motivation to create and be a creative person and create the content and put it out there to the world,
Yeah.
to have that kind of impact. That's amazing. But I think that something needs to be said to the style of your actual production, the way you shoot your videos, the way you edit your videos, I think is exceptionally unique. And I think that there's just
phenomenal.
there's something about watching one of
you.
your videos that, the way you do your framings and all that kind of stuff just works so exceptionally well that it's transparent. And like you watch a video and you're like, what just happened? Like this was not just someone sitting in front of a camera talking. Like it's so much more experiential because of the way it's shot and paced out in post. So kudos on that. But like,
Thank you.
how much time goes into producing a video like that? Because
Oh, God.
it's like I as someone who loves and hates editing audio,
Yeah.
I can take. I honestly, I could take, 120 seconds to edit 10 seconds of finished audio.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's, how long does it take to put together like a 10-minute video, even if you're like on one cam, just like in front of the desk?
Oh yeah, I know that struggle all too well. It takes a very long time. I would say if I'm doing a booster box opening, so 36 packs, it's like the longest videos I probably do. It probably takes like 10 to 14 hours to edit. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
The
my
pain.
my average video is always like 6 to 9 hours
Oh,
time wise. So like I'm talking like a 15-20 minute video. Whereas my booster boxes are usually like 35 for like those are really long. That's usually when a set is released. I'll do like an entire booster box. And that's with me, like actually trying to go fast with my openings too, or like speed it up. It's a lot to
I
edit.
can tell you that it's definitely, it's that hard ethic, translates to the finished product, because it's like
Thank you.
I think the videos really do have a really unique feel to them, that it's not content based. It's literally production based, and it's so incredibly unique. And it's like, all right, I could watch any video shot like this and know it would be like your style. So kudos, kudos on that. Super rad. But all that stuff, the unboxings, the game itself, the card, the collecting element, like, how do you balance that? Like, as a creator, is it about what gets more traction? Is it about what will serve the algorithm? Is it about what will be a better creative release for you as a person? Like, what's the balance like when you're trying to do different types of content on the same channel?
It's really difficult, actually. It's very difficult because it's like you said, so many factors go into it. Like, I try not to think of like, is this video gonna do well? I don't worry about that too much, just because long term, I feel like any video can do okay, just because people get around to seeing it at some point. So it's like I'm not too worried about that. Like when I made my 3-part series of teaching people how to play the TCG, that was like my lowest viewed as far as like first 24 hours, first week. But now it's got a tremendous amount of views because it's one of those videos like over time, people, who are wondering, it's a tutorial video. So a lot of people go and watch stuff like that.
That's the evergreen, that you can always come back to it. Yeah,
exactly.
That's like old faithful. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Tutorial videos. That's where you go for that for sure.
How to make pancakes.
Yeah, right. It's like got like 40 million views, but so I try to when with my openings, I do tie in like the little tiny TCG aspects, kind of getting people well versed on the cards that they're going to be pulling from packs, and I try to explain the value in the TCG behind those cards. I feel like my biggest thing is just always giving value to my viewers. So I always want my viewers to walk away from watching a video either, being very entertained, like they're laughing, they're happy, or, they get some knowledge from that video, from the cards, and it makes them interested in the game a little bit more. But so that's what I do with my openings. And then TCG content, I've been lately doing more live streams, playing with viewers as well, is really cool, because then I kind of get to like live chat with my viewers and play some games, and it's so fun. So that's always fun. But I actually made a totally separate channel for my competitive TCG content, just because mixing the two, like mixing openings and stuff, it just didn't really work too well for me. So now I have a whole separate channel for that. So that's kind of how I balanced it, I guess.
No, okay, so you had to split it into two?
Yeah, pretty much, because I was doing live streams, weekly live streams with like actual local tournaments in my house. Like I was inviting people over, we were playing local TCG, and it's tough to balance because, like I said, TCG players are the minority, and with such like long content of a live stream, it's kind of a lot to put on a channel. So making a separate channel to that, and then the future of that channel is definitely going to be very TCG oriented. Like the future of Pokemon for me, for my TCG content, is literally trying to take Pokemon into a more esports realm. And really like legitimizing Pokemon as like an official esport.
I love that.
Hold on, I hear the cherubs flying above me right now as I'm listening to this, and like the sounds of morning. No, that's awesome. That's Adam and I have both are on the level. Like that's exactly how we felt for a long time, and we would love to see the future of Pokemon be. And where it could go. And we're both Pokemon Go huge fans too. So it's like there's so much potential for this to, there's things to change when it comes to the grand stage of competitive play. So I'm psyched for the future. Like I think that
and
the
Pokemon
time
Go
is
just
is
had
so hot.
Professor Willow's card come in.
Yeah, they're integrating a lot of Pokemon Go stuff. It's really
on.
Cool.
It's on. I cannot wait.
What I want is them to do the AR snapshots and then put that in like an actual TCG set.
That would be cool.
So
use
creators,
that as art.
can see art that they did and have it
Ooh.
released. I think that would be like the full circle.
Let's just make custom cards. We'll get Zaba on the phone and we'll feature a bunch of AR photographers. That would be dope. But
awesome.
all right, so I do want to talk about some specific video that you put out. When did the How Did the TCG Get Here video? How long ago was that now?
I think it was like I want to say 4 months. I might be a little off.
Has it been that wild? Wow.
A couple months, yeah.
So this video was one that every so often, because we, Adam and I are involved with like the Go scene and all that kind of stuff, where we see content from different areas of Pokemon bleed into other stuff. And I knew when like the Go players were discussing this video, and I was like, this video is going to make an impact because it had kind of penetrated that, that side of the Pokemon franchise fandom, which isn't typical.
Wow.
With the TCG. Like it's really on its own island. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like looking at the VGC and Pokemon Go waving, as they go by on the cruise ship,
right.
like, hey,
It's totally different. Yeah.
So it was like I knew that this video was going to be big, and then like it started making the rounds in our Discord, and like everyone was just talking about it. The community was buzzing about it, and just if you can, and I know this is probably difficult, what's the elevator speech for that video, and then we can kind of I do want to dig into like the feelings that you had and kind of my perspective on it and how our community reacted. I think this could be a fun little real time thing, because this video meant so much to me personally that I was like, yo, we gotta, at that point we we're like, all right, Adam, we gotta get Frosted Caribou on the show. It's like, we gotta make this happen. But tell us what this video was all about, and kind of, the motivation behind it.
Yeah, I got a lot of podcast invites back then too.
Nice.
Which is so fun. I kind of just like leapt off the face of the earth after making that video as well. A video like that takes a lot out of you, that's for sure. I edited that video for like 44 hours, so over like 5 days.
That's insane.
It's like crazy. But so this video, man, it was a couple months ago now. It was pretty much sort of have you ever had those moments where it's just like you have an epiphany sort of thing, and you just like things that you've kind of been seeing and things that are in your subconscious and that you kind of know about is there, but then all of a sudden, like at one moment, all of those thoughts come together and you just kind of realize like, whoa, like, and you think about something totally differently.
Absolutely.
That's pretty. That's what this video was for me, like 100%.
Well, and the honestly, if I could interject here, the beauty of it, as going full circle, is I think for the viewer, that moment happened after watching that video for the viewer. So that like kind of transference of energy, like on a cosmic level from you to the viewer, I think happened.
It was
because,
there.
Because people were commenting to us and talking to us, being like, "Oh my God, like I did not look at it like this. Like what is going on?" And it was like, all right, boom, the conversation is being had. I was like, yes, this is rad. So it was like within our own TCG community, it was so great to see people talking and buzzing about like the vibe and feelings that this video put off. And what was the core motivation behind saying like, all right, I got to get a message out?
So I got a lot of messages like that, where you're just saying too, about people saying like, I've never seen a video like this, like being talked about everywhere, like random Discord servers, Reddits, like everywhere. It was so wild to me. I had no idea that was going to happen. I honestly thought this video was going to like nuke my channel. So I was pretty,
it's got to be risky.
Scared.
It's I'm sure it's risky to walk that line, that believe me, I definitely understand that.
So I guess with, this video, it was kind of like my epiphany moment, I guess, was my channel had been doing very well. There was things leading up to my growth in my channel, other people I had connected with that was helping the growth of my channel a lot. And I guess because I was in a huge position of privilege in this hobby, to have connections to product, to have connections to get things on time, to get things early even, because I'm a content creator. It was very easy for me to overlook where I was, 2 years ago, which is the mass majority of the hobby and people in the hobby that were not able to get product and were not able to find anything in stores, and we're really leaving the hobby because of how devastating the whole situation was in Pokemon. And that was, I don't know what it was. Just one day I just kind of like realized how bad things had gotten and how blind I kind of was to it for several months. And I really just started looking into it and doing a little bit of research on it and kind of trying to figure out like, why did this happen? When did this happen? And the main push for me behind this video was more so from a content creator's perspective, because I wanted to do something different with my platform that actually meant something to the people in this hobby. And my main thing behind it was just saying like, hey, we can't control how much product Pokemon is printing. We can't control like how the parameters these big box stores are placing to help scalping and stuff. What we can control though is how we treat this hobby, especially coming from the largest creators in this hobby, including myself. Not saying I'm like some huge creator, but I'm a prominent, like I have numbers behind my channel, like my what I say means something to people, and I have influence in this hobby. So I really wanted to kind of step out and say like, hey, how can we sort of change the direction that this hobby is going in and make it something, at least do our part the tiniest bit that we can to turn things around and be more hopeful about this hobby, get people back into this hobby, do anything we can to turn the direction, which was going really down south for a while there, around. So I guess that was the whole thought behind the video itself.
I could tell even the way you're talking about it now, like how profound this is, like, and I appreciate that as a creator. And it was funny because we have a large Pokemon Go sided thing too. And a lot of the Pokemon Go people and creators in that space kind of started doing TCG stuff.
Yeah.
And Adam and I really had strong feelings because we were so rooted in the core values of Pokemon and like what the TCG stood for and that whole thing. So we saw the degradation of the market or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And we're both talking like week after week, Adam, right? We're like, how do we get our feelings across in content form without alienating people and without sounding like jerks and like sounding like gatekeepers to the hobby? Like, how do we do this? And we talked about that for weeks, right, Adam? And
for
we were like
such a long time. And it was like,
we couldn't
it was like,
figure
just
it out.
because Pokemon is getting the numbers for the TCG does not mean that like you just focus your whole channel on that just because. Like
we just couldn't understand how to talk about it. And
yeah,
like
we
would
like
talk about it with our local community, like on our Zoom
clicks.
calls where we could like kind of be off the record, hey, these are my feelings. And then when that video, you released the video, we're like, that's how you talk about it. That's how you do it.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it too, was like I wanted to, in that research I did upcoming for the video, I was just watching tons of videos. I was reading tons of comments, and I spent hours just researching people's feelings behind all of this. And that is what I wanted to get across without any words, which was pretty much the whole intro of the video, showing, the comparison between, how there's two very different parts of this hobby, and like one is very off balanced to the other. One is very happy right now. People are making a lot of money. Everybody's speaking about Pokemon and like the monetary value of Pokemon. They're so stoked about it. And then you see the other half of that, and the downside of that. And it just shows you like both the financial side and the collector player side are very important to the hobby, but the pendulum swings, and if it goes way too far in one direction, the other side of the hobby is going to suffer. And we saw that, in real time, and we're still seeing it. And that was pretty much all I wanted to show, was like, hey, we need to kind of like pull the reins in a little bit, especially as, the people who are leading this hobby. We do have influence over this hobby. We can say something about everything going on, whether it just be even slight things, not doing like super clickbait thumbnails, not doing, shouting out PSA 10 prices of cards when it's fresh out of the pack. That's very misleading. That's very unfair.
Yeah.
to the hobby.
We talked about that specifically, like that whole vibe, like the card is pulled and no regard is given to the Pokemon that's featured in the card.
Yeah.
No regard is taken to the artwork or the illustrator or how the card functions, what the whole bottom half of the card even stands for, represents. Yeah. Like, and it's just like, flash the money the $5,000.
Yeah,
money
I see some sparkles.
Sound,
It's got the money sign.
Yeah, we just on our Zoom call just before we got onto this call, I said I want to do a spoof video where we show all our dud pulls, but like at the end when we pull like a non-hollow rare, put like 13 cents up on the screen, like real big, like real proud, like yeah, boy, 13 cents.
I kind of did that in like a very small way. When I opened like it wasn't even a ton of product. It was a couple of boxes. I pulled absolutely nothing. It was an ETB or something. And I was just like, yeah, here's our pulls, everybody. You know, this one's 3 cents, 5 cents. I was like -7 cents, you know.
They pay you to take this card.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's so funny.
It's Steam Siege.
So funny. It's Steam Siege. Oh, God. Yeah.
And the best part about Steam Siege is like now that you can't find it anywhere and realizing that there was shiny Pokemon in it that weren't like
no, see,
sparkly.
This is you're doing. So you're going to talk about it on the show, and then people are going to want it. It's like, stop, leave it, let it rot.
You're sensationalizing it. We also happen to evolutions, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Steve Siege could ever take its place.
So, all right, well, it's been 4 months since the release of that video. How has the community or the culture changed since the release of that video? Do you think that things are moving in the right direction?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I'm gonna say yes and no, I guess. I'm leaning almost more toward no, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think it's no. I agree. I think it's no, but different reasons.
Yeah, very different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that certain things have come to light, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's happening. That's happening right now.
Listen, I went to my old shop or my local shop, and Elite Trainer boxes were $40. So that's a plus.
That is a huge plus. That's why I say it's
retail. But listen to us. Listen, when you get something for retail and you're like, "Oh, it's so
like
great."
Astonished.
No, dude, that's retail. Like, that's
no,
what
this is how it's supposed to be. No, yeah, that's very true. I think there's more product out there. I think people are getting more product now. I think there's more on the shelves. Not locally to me. There's absolutely nothing in stores here, but I think it's also a very regional based thing. I know a lot of people who are like, I have stuff on my shelves every day, and some people are like, I have seen nothing in months. So it's kind of hard to gauge like really what's going on with that. But it's there's so many facets of it too, because I feel like quality control for Pokemon has just gone down the drain, sort of. So the quality is pretty bad of products, just because I'm assuming the mass printing on a very fast-paced scale.
Yeah, new factories, new equipment, new teams, new people. It's
a lot of changes. But I mean, then you look back and you're like, quality control. I mean, look at Burning Shadows. Like every single card printed from there was the most off-cut card you've ever seen in your life.
3/4 of an inch, like border on one side.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, is this new? Is it not new? I don't know. But so I feel like it's getting better in the sense like people are finding more product now. But I think the social part of the hobby, so how people interact just in this hobby on a day-to-day basis, is declining. I think there is a huge wedge in the hobby that is not being mended like in any way, shape, or form. Mostly just because I don't think people want to talk about it or even acknowledge it, especially on larger scales, larger platforms. So you kind of see this like huge shift of, people are very judgmental of each other, I guess, and how they're participating in the hobby. And I think it's just because, tensions are high, and whenever money is involved with things too, things get really sticky, because you're talking about, whether people are making money or losing money. And I think that really can drive people to some pretty low lows, if you know what I mean. I mean, let's just look at the business practices that have come from all of this. We see
Absolutely.
stores who are, launching pre-orders before they have any allocation of any product, then they're canceling dozens of people's pre-orders, and those people are out of luck. Then they can't find the product anymore. And some stores weren't even refunding. They were saying, oh, you'll get store credit, for this. And it's like,
Oh,
what?
wow. That's
Oh, it was a
What?
total racket. It was
Yeah.
it was every which way to take, full advantage of a market craze, like a market spike, and
Yeah.
people exploited that, and it broke my heart too to see like the local game shops do it. And it's like, but I get, like, it's like, how much of that do I
It's so
get?
rough.
Like,
Yeah.
growing up in like sports card shops and seeing that's how it was, you know what I mean? It's like, is it different
Yeah.
here because there's a game attached to it, or is it just the way the market behaves? It's like, it just doesn't feel good when I go to my local shop and I'm paying over retail. It's like, dude, I'm coming here to support you for this reason. And it's like,
Yeah.
now I feel a little bit brushed aside, but like, I understand that it's an opportunity for them, to just work within the market. And it doesn't
Exactly.
always feel good as a consumer, for sure.
It definitely doesn't feel good as a consumer, but you also have to take into account as well, all the years Pokemon was on the decline, and they were also selling boxes for way below MSRP. I mean, even still, a lot of stores sell below MSRP. So, I saw a lot of back and forth between that too. They're like, oh, well, if you're mad at them for charging over MSRP, like, but you bought all their boxes at way below, like when they were helping you out, I guess. But it's also just like, there's so many factors to it. But I just feel like at the end of the day, you gotta be like, okay, where like are my morals in this hobby? You know what I mean? And I think we've seen a huge decline in the morality of this hobby. I guess you could say that might be a little extreme, but
No,
yeah, I
I
guess if
feel
that
that
makes sense.
100%, but I definitely see that in the content space. And like, there's a lot of content creators and a lot of platforms that I used to watch regularly that I don't anymore, because at one point I felt that the culture that channel and the vibe that channel was putting off was reflective and indicative of the community, and
Yeah.
it matched.
Yeah, I
And
personally
now
have
it's like,
dipped from YouTube.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
It's hard.
when I
lot.
don't, it's not transparent anymore to see the balance between like what's going on screen and what's really happening in the community. It's like, yo, this is an act. Like, this is tomfoolery. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it just
Oh,
doesn't,
100%.
it doesn't feel right. So it's definitely an inch, and I think that's what leads to saying like, hey, or have things improved, or have we slid back? And it's like, a lot of that has a lot to do with it. It's just like the perception of the community at large and the way things are handled and dealt with. It's like, that's what drives tension. That's what makes things so difficult, and online communities so like volatile, because there's so much feeling.
You could even bring in predatory pack breaks, that people do both on YouTube, on Instagram, raffles. Like, there's so many sleazy things that have come from this entire thing that are being heavily normalized in the community, that hurts the community. Like, it hurts people. Like, it genuinely does. And a lot of it is, people say like, oh, well, it's ignorance of the consumer. Like, all day long, you could say that, oh, well, they should be more informed on what they're paying for, what they're buying into. But you also have to think like, okay, well, who is the person selling them the product? That, this person is very well informed about the hobby. They're very well informed about prices of things. They know how much they're charging for this stuff, and they know that they're charging people to unlock a code to even get into their site to then be able to buy the product, and then they're going to charge them on top of that to open the product on their live stream. It's like absolute chaos. And
Wow.
you can only say, yo, ignorance of the consumer so much, because you have to say, okay, is it ignorance of the consumer, or is it the consumer is being almost preyed upon by the person who is very well informed about this hobby? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an excellent perspective, and I feel strongly the same way. It's, it's very easy for someone in the position to benefit from the mess to say like, well,
Yeah.
shame on them for falling victim to these practices.
Yeah. Yeah.
when
What?
the irony is they will never self-reflect and say, shame on me for handing out these immoral practices myself. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Absolutely.
they try to push that liability of like being predatory, or a liability
Mm-hmm.
of being part of the problem in this community. They say, no. That liability gets transferred to this person because that person's willing
Mm-hmm.
to give me $100 for an ETB.
Well,
You know,
and
and
what's
it's like,
it's
believe
so
me, what
sad.
coming from the Pokemon Go world, I saw big creators, massive in the millions platforms
Yeah.
that were in like the reasons of why to pay for into their breaks. It said the notoriety of getting your name and channel
Yeah.
read by me. And
Oh
it's like when I
no.
saw that, I go, oh my God. I go, this is what's going to cause like a channel that probably has 500 subscribers that has been
Yes.
saving their money and blah, blah, blah. And now they got $500 that they want to invest into their channel, and they're going to blow it on 20 seconds of a break where, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but for all you know, the dog could walk in and his eye goes off the camera, and the shift of the focus goes away, and there's
Oh
no experience
gosh.
at all. It's like
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, oh God, we've reached that point where we're literally selling that as what makes this
Mm.
transaction a high value. I was like, dude, this is a mess. And now I guess this would be a good segue to talking about, and I know we're going long, so I apologize to be long
No
in the tooth
worries.
here,
No, you're good.
but the video you made about, you know, the quote unquote king of Pokemon, King Pokemon, Gary,
Oh
Charizard, whatever you
gosh.
want to
Yeah.
call it. And again, this was another one of these opinion videos that you did that struck me and the community to the point where it was like everyone was talking about it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, I was aware of this dude through the Pawn Stars thing and
Yeah.
like, you know, just high level stuff, seeing him with other creators that, you know, from the community that I respected and, you know,
Yeah.
may have, you know, be like consumed their content over the years, all that good stuff. But I never really knew the behind the curtain kind of stuff. So this was a very interesting thing for me because I
Yeah.
knew no different until the day I saw this video. So it was like, all right, I'll vibe with this. I'll go through it. And I was pretty taken back
It
by,
declined. Yeah. Very
yeah,
quickly.
I go, dude, I was like, that escalated quickly. Okay, we're here now. And it's like, oh, this is like,
And it just
I
kept
hate to
getting
say it,
worse.
but stuff you see in gaming communities, I go, how, and like, how do people think that this is
Oh
okay? It's like it was like my jaw just kept
Oh, man.
opening wider and wider throughout the video. I was just like, this is nuts.
By the end of the video, you were a Mega Gengar.
But I was, but the interesting thing was that it created, once again, like the how did the TCG get here video, it started creating conversations about the perspective of, you know, how the balance between the financial side, the hobby, the collector, the gamer, like how interesting and complex this world is that we're in.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just created a lot of conversation. And whenever there's anything that like is thought provoking or creates the stuff, I always get behind it, for better or for worse. Like I just want to get people talking.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is a very interesting subject. So since this video's been out, like, where have things gone? Because I just had like all these OMG moments throughout that video, like where things were just devolving. Like, have things stopped? Like, where is this right
No,
now?
actually, believe it or not, it's devolved even worse from the video. So that's
Oh
great.
no,
That's not what we want to hear.
It's actually why I've been kind of away from YouTube for a bit because, you know, like I said, this takes a lot out of you. This was very, very different from my State of the TCG video, though. This was less of an opinion piece from me. This was more so it was kind of more of me defending myself, actually, because I was defending major slander and horrible comments that were being made about me from one of the most like prolific figures in the financial side of this community. And you know, they are still doing it, they're continuing to do it. And
Ugh.
so this was a video pretty much standing up for myself. Essentially, it did have undertones, I guess you could say, in it, how women are treated in this hobby, how players, like casual collectors, people who just joined this hobby recently, how they're treated in this hobby. Definitely undertones there for sure. But yeah, this was a totally different video for me. It was something I had to put out just because I could not believe like everything that had just transpired, and it hasn't stopped since then. this has been like the worst harassment I've ever dealt with ever. Even when I was on Twitch, I had nothing compared to this. And I'm talking like like terrible stuff. Like people are actually photoshopping images of me, salacious images of me that are not me.
Jeez.
People are, I get dozens of messages every day of people saying horrible things about me, things that none of them are true as well, which is really, it's difficult to deal with, because you're just constantly seeing all these things about yourself, and you can't even really stand up for yourself or defend yourself, because how are you going to respond to 100 plus messages every day, so it was that's why I made this video. It was supposed to be kind of like a mic drop sort of situation, me defending myself against what this person's saying about me, and then just kind of leaving the situation there. And yeah, it's gotten worse. Nobody actually knows this. I was planning on doing a live stream, or going on to a live stream, with Gary and someone else in the hobby as well, because they told me they were going to have Gary on, and I was like, well, what do you think about having me on? And you're sort of a mediator sort of person, so that instead of just leaving things where they were, it could actually be a conversation that sort of tries to move the hobby forward rather than it being so tense. And so I was even willing to do that, even after like everything I've been through this, and like the absolute zero respect I've been showed by this person. I was even still willing to like sit down and try to have a civil conversation. And Gary said that he would not talk to me unless I apologized to him.
Dude, like the narcissism is it's palpable. It's palpable. And like that's what gets me with all this, is like the casual, just blatant disregard for like decent humanity. Like it's not even there.
It's
like
disgusting.
I don't understand.
It's a huge shame, honestly.
But like how they just throw it around though. Like that kind of gusto of what I'm saying does not matter to like, who cares about any of the fallout or what's on the receiving end? Like, we're just going to throw it around.
That's what was really astonishing to me too, and that's why I was just so shocked by like the events of how this whole thing played out. And I really do believe it showed a lot of true colors, but it like made me lose so much like hope and like I had in this hobby or this community, just because I could not believe how many people like couldn't see these actions or even just justify these actions. It's not even about like whether you disagree or agree with an opinion or whatever. It's like, this is actually someone who is actually going after me in a very malicious way online. And how is that acceptable? Like, how is that okay? When I've said nothing bad about this person, nothing inappropriate to this person, no mean names, no bad words, nothing to this person. And I've just been absolutely like demolished with hate online and like attacks and death threats and all these images being posted around me and photoshopped of me and like all this stuff happening has just been horrible to deal with. And I just don't understand how that's okay.
No,
so many
it's
people.
not okay. That stuff needs to stop. It's not okay.
And yeah, it's heartbreaking.
If you know anybody doing that stuff, stop being friends with them.
But no, honestly,
they're
it's
not
like
good humans.
Standing up for yourself, I mean, like from a creative aspect too, is exceptionally risky. Like, like this has to be, not only are you like pouring your heart and soul into a video like this, because it's coming from a place of like, this is really an internal thing. Like you're attacking me, this isn't even you defending the hobby. Like this is on a whole nother level. So yeah, it's disgusting, and like when we've talked about it in our circles, it's like, we really get to that point where we're all just shaking our head. Like how is this happening in our community? And it's difficult because you want more people to talk about it. And you want the creative space to talk about it. We see this in Pokemon Go a lot where the community's like, why aren't you talking about this? And it's like creators just go silent. Yeah. And it's a difficult thing. So there's a lot of like risk of even like collateral damage because there's people that are associated with Gary, right? Like how do you approach that?
God.
Like people like are in his circle. How do you avoid kind of, you know, the
Like
splash
stepping
damage?
on toes or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, this is actually how I felt about the state of the TCG video too. Was just like, you know, I have grown my channel from the ground up. You know, I haven't like plugged myself on other people's channels. I haven't like rubbed any elbows, or I don't even know what the saying is, shoulders or whatever, to like get to where I am. Like I built my channel from scratch, you know, with my work and my editing and stuff. So it's not like I was like, and again, it wasn't my State of the TCG video and this video as well. It was not malicious. I wasn't saying anything terrible about these people. I'm not attacking people online. You know, it is really about not even starting a discussion. I mean, the State of the TCG was, but this Gary video was more just about, like you said, defending myself. And there's a huge underbelly of this community that nobody with a larger platform talks about or acknowledges. I don't really know where that comes from. I don't know if it's like a publicity thing or if it's just like trying to keep a clean slate.
Do you know if some of these creators have agents? Are they working with agencies?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Like I was having this conversation the other day. Like that could be a big thing where they're like, if they have someone in charge of their PR, they're just like, no, this conversation is not happening. We're not going to even acknowledge this.
But when you think like if you have someone in charge of your PR, that like usually if something bad happens, PR teams like make a statement about it, you know what I mean? Or they would be like, hey, I've worked with this person, they're behaving absolutely atrociously, we are not going to work with this person.
Or
you know
if they want to continue to be paid, they defend them. That's the other side of it. That's terrible because it's like, and the complacency is like, you know, it's, you know, you're guilty by association, bro. You know, come on.
Yeah,
but I'd imagine
for people
that's tough to
to
do.
not talk about it. That stinks right there.
But you have to talk about it. You have to say names. Like it's hard to not because you're talking about a small space.
Well,
you know, it's not.
That's the whole thing. Is like if we don't have these discussions, like how is any of this ever going to be solved? You know, how are women or people who just get in this hobby, or really anyone who is entering this hobby, how are they going to feel comfortable seeing this? You know, how are they going to feel like like they want to be involved with this hobby? It hurts the hobby exponentially. I genuinely think this whole situation has set the hobby back, especially for women, like a lot. And I've gotten tons of messages from women saying that exact thing to me as well. And it hurts a lot. And with the State of the TCG video and with this video, it's also been like, I know I'm taking the L on this, like as far as like my mental health goes, my feelings in this for this hobby, you know, my passion for creating, like it stunts me so much because it is so like emotionally draining to do stuff like this, but no one else is going to do it, and like no one else is going to speak up about this stuff. So I feel like I want to, because I want to make the difference in the hobby. I want to start to see change for people in the hobby. So it's like, you know,
be the change.
Yeah, I guess
that's
so.
Like, that's no, honestly, it's like, yo, I'll be the first dude to like fall into, Adam too. We'll fall into like the cheesy, campy, like, you know, affirmations and stuff like that. It's like, cause they're so true. It's just like, honestly, it's like, it just, you know, you got to take that first step. And I think that, riding that line, there's a lot more that goes into it as a creator that a lot of people take for granted of how this can impact an audience and, you know, growth and all that stuff. So, you know, it's always worth being in the topic of or front of mind conversation to talk about this stuff when it's happening, because there's significant risk behind it. And, you know, I look at it from a production standpoint. I go, that type of distress typically can, you know, produce some pretty amazing content. So, you know, I maybe I'm just, you know, spoiled where I just want to see good content, but out of this comes such awesome content that, you know,
But yeah, because you want, it's
yeah,
kind of like you're motivated to continue, I guess, through
yeah.
this horrible stuff. Yeah,
That's like,
definitely true.
I've had my heart broken and then I write like an amazing song about it. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like it's there. A lot of this stuff can really be a muse for creativity. And it's like, it stinks that's the fuel that you have to burn to get you there. But when it's all said and done, it's like, wow, this was, this was worth the journey.
I think everyone who like writes this off as like drama too. It's like a huge disservice to the community. They're just like, oh, I just don't want to see drama. Or, like, this is just so much drama. And it's like, well, it's not drama. This isn't drama to me. Like, this is like my actual life that I'm having to deal with, And this is the community that we're seeing who are facing the effects of, major people in this hobby and the consequences of their actions and their words. And really, there aren't any consequences. They're not being held accountable. No large creator on this platform is really being held accountable for anything that they're really doing, honestly. And there's absolutely no checks and balances in the bigger space of Pokemon content creators and content creation. And I just feel like it's just a shame, like, how this whole thing played out. It sucks so much.
I'm so glad that you came on the show because, these conversations aren't great to have. We're talking about stuff that brings us down, and it's a shame. But I honestly, I thank you as a member of the community at large, the TCG community at large, just like for bringing awareness to this stuff. And yeah, you don't want to write it off as just drama because no, this is what's happening. Like this
it's an important conversation.
This is a tiny, tiny percentage. I've been on YouTube over, 2.5 years now. So it's like, this is a very small percentage of my content. And it's important to have these discussions. It's important to open this dialogue to improve the underbelly of this hobby, to improve this hobby in general. But it's like, it doesn't have to be all the time, but it should be talked about at some point. That's where this whole like toxic positivity thing comes in, where everyone's just like, oh, well, they're not being positive, so just block them, delete their comments, it's not positive. But how are you supposed to improve this hobby or move forward in this hobby if you can't have the hard discussions? And it doesn't have to be attacking each other, it doesn't have to be malicious toward each other. It's just different opinions, different points of view, and you have civil discussions about it. And that's what it should be, not just, oh, it's all negative or it's all positive. There's so much nuance in between that that I think is very important. But everyone's just like, oh, especially people saying like, oh, she's just doing this for views and for whatever. It's like, if I wanted to do stuff for views, wouldn't it make more sense to me to like just be best friends with all these people and like creating content with all these people?
Exactly.
Yep.
Wouldn't that make more sense?
Makes total sense.
Exactly. No, that makes total sense. And no, I feel you 100%. It's like I in my opinion, that this is a fantastic, like just use of a platform. This is a fantastic use of a platform. Like, this is what you would want to do. Like, hey, I've built a platform doing this that involves these people. So if I did want to get a message out, guess how I could do so? It's like, then you create one of these videos a couple times a year or something like that to talk about it. And it's like, all right, this is a good use because you're getting an important message in front of the right people. Like, it doesn't, it would be one thing if like every single one of your videos is like, here we go again.
Exactly.
But it's not. It's like these are real issues. So
buckle up. We've got another person to talk
another
about.
banger.
Or if it was like malicious, and like I've never, my intention with anything that I ever talk about is never to be malicious toward other people, like ever.
There's no reason, especially when it comes to like a developer or a game or something like that. Like, you can be the most critical person on earth. Like, you could be hypercritical. You could dislike the game with every bit of bone in your body, but you don't have to cross the line of being inappropriate.
Like, threatening the life of the developers and stuff.
How do those two things connect? Like, that should really have nothing to do with one another. It's like, you could still wholeheartedly say it was the worst game you ever played, but you don't have to say that your grandmother was a better developer than John Doe on the quality control team and like dox the dude's Twitter.
Exactly.
It's like, come on, man, come on. But Frosted Caribou, thank you so much for spending so much time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you both.
This was absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I think we had a great
us.
talk. And I want to have more talks like this. I'd love to speak to more people about stuff like this because, I want to get these conversations going. And this was a phenomenal conversation. So please, why don't you let our community know, let the Special Conditions community know where we could find you, what you're up to, and of course, all the links will be in the description on YouTube and in podcast description form. But tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, well, thank you both so much for having me. It was a super good discussion. Primarily on YouTube, just Frosted Caribou, and then Twitter is Frosted Caribou as well. Instagram is Frosted Pokeboo. That's my Pokemon Instagram. And then if you do want the competitive TCG content, that's also on YouTube under Wap Down Entertainment is actually what it's called. It's a Orangaroo. A move on the card. It's called Wap Down. He's my inspo for
that logo is legit.
It's
that logo
so
is
good.
legit.
Yeah.
It's so good. So good.
Yeah, that will be sort of where my future projects and stuff are going to be invested into pretty heavily, but also just my regular content on YouTube as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much again. Everyone else, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will do our TN Comics opening. We'll do Card of the Week, Art of the Week, close out the show with some emails. But Adam, you ready to take a little breaky break?
Yes. Let's take a break.
Boo, thanks again. We appreciate your time.
Thanks to all the listeners, too. Thank you guys for listening to me blab on forever. See you guys.
See you. We'll be back right after this.
And we are back. Thank you so much, Frosted Caribou, for hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it.
That was a solid talk. That was a good talk.
It was a great talk. It was a talk that needed to be had.
And I'm super grateful also because I was like, yeah, well, expect like a 30-minute talk, And she's like, kind of looking at the notes here. It seems like a little bit more than 30 minutes. I was like, well, do you have a heart out? Can you stay a little bit longer? She's like, no, it's cool. It's fine. So I just let it go. So it was awesome. We got some good stuff. It was great to have that conversation. Really awesome perspective. It's not common to hear that kind of perspective from a creator. So it's super refreshing. But yeah, Frosted Caribou, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. It was awesome.
And we just want to do a little housekeeping real quick before we keep going. This podcast is powered by Patreon. You can check ours out over at patreon.com/PokemonProfessor, where you can support this show for as little as $1 a month. That $1 is going to get you access to our patron exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. All patrons are eligible to participate in our monthly Pogo and TCGO prize tournaments. Registration is in the Discord, and we hope to see you there. Want to give a huge thank you to our gym leader tier Patreons, Absolutely Ryan, Dig Dug Rob, Grant, Jamal, JD Mojo Jojo, Magikarp Diem, Paul, Sharkfin, Talon, and TN Comics Wiz. Thank you so much. And a special thanks to our executive producer, Tish Smith.
Bam, 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 bam.
All right, and if Patreon is not your thing, there's a few other ways you can help us out. If you're listening to us on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and if you're listening via podcast service like Apple Podcasts, you can take a moment to leave us a review. Finally, you can visit our merch store at PokemonProfessor.com/merch and pick up some special condition swag. We've got some sweet t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more.
Fanny packs, Adam. We got the fanny packs.
All right, Ken, let's open some booster packs.
Yo, I got Shining Fates, man.
Huge shout out to TN Comics. They provided these boosters for us. We are opening up Shining Fates today. Ken,
yes.
You go first because you have been on a streak. On the Zoom call, you opened up a pack of Darkness Ablaze and a pack of Battle Styles. What did you pull?
So I pulled a secret rare turbo patch, which was phenomenal. Hold on, I'm grabbing it. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so incredibly good. The gold is just absolutely beautiful. 200 of 189. And then when I opened the battle styles, I pulled a single striker Shifu VMAX full art, which is just gorgeous. So
And it took me 9 packs to get, 8 to get a V. So
it's so good. But anyway, real quick, tncomics.com is our source for everything that we need when we need TCG stuff, which is all the time. We visit tncomics.com, and if you use checkout code FULLHEAL, FULLHEAL, at checkout, you get an extra 5% off your total purchase at tncomics.com. Shout out to those wonderful, wonderful folks. All right, I have a code here. It is QBJHL4WGLD7LB. Good luck. Let us know what you get. Forward to the back. And Adam, you think I could continue this hot streak?
I hope so.
Well, I got a water energy, so I don't know what that means. Luxio, Eldegoss, Dartrix, Choodle, Morpeko, Eevee, Grookey, Snom. My reverse is a Luxray, and my rare is a non-hollow Boss's Orders, but I do like Lysander, so I'll take it.
I'll take it. All right. My code card is 2KHHZNXJVHHMV. Good luck. Let us know what you get. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I've got a fighting energy, so hopefully this one will be a stronger pack. Rotom, Team Yell Towel, a Floatzel, a Weasel, Eevee, Qfont, Cacnea, Nickit. Ooh, shiny Galarian Cursola, and a hollow Decidueye.
Okay, all right, well, you got a shiny.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's Shining Fate, so we needed a shiny, and we pulled it.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you, TN Comics, for the boosters. We appreciate it. And, get that 5% off, full heal at checkout.
All right, trainers. This week's card of the week is Eternatus VMAX.
I need to know what the hype is all about, Adam. For a while now, you've been talking about this card and how it's, kind of become exceptionally popular in the meta. And even with the release of some new cards, it's still sticking around and does some pretty big damage. So I'm interested to learn about this card and how it's used in a deck.
Okay, so Eternatus VMAX has a whopping 340 hit points, dark type. It has this crazy ability called Eternal Zone. If all of your Pokemon in play are dark type, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench. And you can't put non-dark Pokemon into play. If this ability stops working, discard Pokemon from your bench until you have the normal 5. So
this looks so funny in TCGO.
What this means is that you can have 9 Pokemon in play, as long as they're all dark. For 1 dark energy and 1 colorless, it does Dread End for 30 damage. This attack does 30 damage for each of your dark Pokemon in play. So it already does 60 because it counts itself. So you can do a whopping 270 damage for 2 energies.
That's pretty legit.
It's a strong attack, and sometimes it's pretty deadly. It can pretty much knock out any V. It's just a devastating attack. It really is.
But from what makes this card so prominent, though, is it the damage that this attack is doing, or is it the fact that you have that huge bench and can have more abilities going on every turn?
So the ability allows you to drop cards such as Galarian Zigzagoon. When played from your hand to the bench, you can place 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if they had something higher than 270, you could drop 4 Zigzagoons and hit for 310 damage. Wow. That's really good. And then you can also use Scoop Up Nets to bring them back. There's also Crobat with Dark Asset ability, so you can effectively play all those Zigzagoons down, use all your Scoop Ups, get to 1 card in your hand, drop the Crobat, and then draw until you have 6 new cards, and just keep going. It is a insane speedy deck. And then a new addition into the deck is Moltres V. It is a dark type, and
this is the Galarian Moltres.
The Galarian Moltres from Chilling Reign, yeah. It says once during your turn, you may attach a dark energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. You can't use more than one of them, but still you can move this and then play Energy Switch to get it to the Eternatus VMAX. Or you can just hit for 190 for 3 with Aura Burn, but that damages itself.
Now, if someone wants to try this deck, right, that has never built this before, where do you think that this type of engine, like this type of mechanic with running a fast kind of playing deck like this, rates on the scale of like being able to just pick this up and be successful with it versus you're going to still have to learn, put a lot of time into working this deck to get it right?
You're going to have to think a little bit, but it's not as straightforward as you might think, but it is pretty easy. I mean, if you have 4 Eternatus V, 4 Eternatus VMAX, 4 Crobat, you've got a solid start. Because effectively, you just want to be able to have 2 Eternatus Vs, and then be able to attach turn 2. If like you went second, you attack for the 30, and then attach with its attack. You can attach an additional dark energy to one of your Pokemon. So you attach it to the other Eternatus, so if they were able to somehow knock you out that one, you'd still be able to evolve into the Eternatus VMAX. Your bench goes to 9 or 8, and then you just start dropping stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's
and then it's 2 energies. So turn 1 you attach, turn 2 you attach and attack.
Well, and let's not forget though, evolving up from V, from Eternatus V, like you're still going to need to do some prepping here.
Yeah. So I mean, you can use cards like cards like Great Ball. You can use Quick Ball to grab Crobats. You can use Pokemon Communication, shuffle in one of the Pokemon that you have in your hand for another Pokemon. You can use Evolutionary Incense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's tons.
And as far as the collecting side of this, the art is absolutely amazing, and on all the versions of this card. But from Darkness Ablaze, there is the standard VMAX. There's also a Rainbow VMAX, which is beautiful. But from Shiny Fates, as part of the Shiny Vault, subset, there is, I don't know, Adam, how do you describe this card?
It is it's almost like a negative gold card. Because it's got
so good.
A black background, but
looks
the Pokemon,
so good.
like Eternatus, is all gold.
Didn't you pull this last week?
I pulled the V.
You
the
pulled
standard
the V.
V.
Okay, so that's for the VMAX. You can get it in the those 3 flavors. There was even a Sword and Shield promo of the VMAX.
This was
with
that
an
big box
art.
that had the big Eternatus coin, and then you got the V full art, and then the alternate art VMAX.
Yep, that thing's sweet. And then from the V, of course, in Darkness Ablaze, you got your standard. You have your Black Star promo from Sword and Shield.
That one came in the tin.
Yep, and then you had the Sword and Shield full art promo. That one was from that was
that big collection box.
The
with
big
the
collection.
And that I have I think 5 of those, 6 of those maybe.
That art is
I
phenomenal.
may have gone overboard because I was like, that all art.
It looks so good.
Outstanding.
It's so good. It's almost like stained glass, but it's not like one of those stained glass cards, but it's like one of those stained glass. Oh, it just looks so good. I love that art.
The whole background is like a blue and green like fusion of colors.
Yeah.
Like almost like a gas smoke. And then you've got Eternatus.
Yeah, looks amazing. And then there's the shining Shiny Vault V with that black and gold look, which
looks stunning as well.
So awesome. But I mean, it's like, how popular is this card still? Because I remember when it first came out, it was everywhere, right? And like,
I know.
What are the big counters for this?
Everything. no. Well, Urshifu kind of like hurt this a little bit at the beginning, but now we have Galarian Zapdos, and it says so each of you can ignore the colorless cost in its energy attack, because it costs, I think, 1 fighting and then 3 colorless for each V card your opponent has.
Oh, okay.
So you just get rid of all the energies, you play a rainbow energy, and it does 170, which is 340 damage, which is enough to one-shot the VMAX.
Oh, nice.
Right? So it's a little tough.
Awesome. No, this is cool. And, I figured we'd talk about it because you see it in a lot of tournament play and a lot of coverage. I guess it's just an amazing card to look at. So it makes sense it feels like an elite Pokemon. You want to use it in your deck. So, check out our blog, the episode 90 blog on PokemonProfessor.com for links to all these cards so you can see what they look like and, see what they cost. If you want to give it a whirl, order them up from TCGplayer.com and give it a shot. Let us know how it goes. If you build out one of these decks, send us an invite on TCGO. Let's play. But Adam, we can move over to art of the week now, which
Yes.
I was very excited about.
Let's
your
look at
RNG
some
last
garbage
week.
artwork.
It's the best. It's Garbodor. Is it Garbodor or Garbodor? What do you say?
I guess it's probably Garbodor, but I've always called it Garbodor.
Garbodor. What I love is that whenever we pronounce things wrong, we get two types of emails. We get one type of email saying, you guys are such noobs, you pronounce that Pokemon wrong. And then we also get, I love that you guys pronounce Pokemon wrong. So it's like, I don't care. Either way, it's fun. But
Listen,
yeah,
this is just what happens when you play the TCG card game and you're
not
actually in
used to the
tournaments.
anime.
People just throw it down. They're like, I'll play Garbodor. And you're like, okay, that's just what it is because
that's what it's called.
Yeah. And it's like these Pokemon, like a lot of the newer ones, my first interpretations of them were from the TCG. Like I didn't play the video games.
Yeah,
like Sword and Shield
yeah.
is the only one that I played like a full video game for. I mean, I still haven't. I beat the game, but not the official, extra content. But
yeah.
So it is what it is. But that's all that I got from it. It's a Garbodor.
Well, I've got 4 examples here, which I love all of them, and I love them all for different reasons. So there's some really, really cool stuff here. The first one we're going to look at, and again, in that same blog on PokemonProfessor.com, just go look for episode 90 featured cards, so you can actually see what the cards that we're talking about here. But this first one's from Guardians Rising. The artist is Arita, Mitsuhiro Arita, one of the most prolific artists in the entire TCG. We've talked about it before. This was the signature that was part of the Frosted Caribou Gary video when he signed it across the text of the Charizard, and Gary was like, it adds no value to the card, blah blah blah. That whole disrespect.
But look at
thing.
this art.
Exactly. Get it off, take it off. But we've talked about Arita plenty of times. But the art on this, it's like one of the attacks on the card is acid spray, and this Garbodor's got like the face of just like, ah! Like he's in the middle of spraying acid and it's like squirting everywhere and it just looks really vile and gross. And I absolutely love it because it's like in the middle of its acid spray attack. It just looks super awesome. What do you think of this one?
But what's weird about it is that the liquid coming, it's the acid spray, but the liquid coming from its hand is like a totally different layer. I can't tell that you can tell that it's liquid.
No, yeah, it definitely looks cool. The texture of it looks different. The rest of the
image is very soft. Like Garbodor looks almost like fuzzy.
Okay, yeah, that's a good call, dude. I see that. I absolutely see that. And the liquid is really, really in your face.
But this one was a heavily played tournament style card.
Dude, Trash-a-Lunch, man. That was like such an incredibly griefing move. This was huge.
I have all these items in my discard.
This
Let me
was
just
huge.
do a lot of damage.
I remember, for 1 energy too. I remember this being just so huge. But great looking card. Definitely check it out in the blog. And then this next one, I really like this next one for a couple different reasons. From Legendary Treasures. And Tomoyaki Imakuni is the illustrator. And if you know Imakuni, he's like a Japanese musician, but he was on that trainer card that was just like Imakuni with the question mark, and he's holding up his hands. And you're like, what is this? Is this a joke? It is a joke because he's like a funny, musician, comedian thing, and he plays this crazy character. This art is absolutely awesome because I don't know. It's like, it looks like the world's best crayon drawing or charcoal drawing or something. It's just so bold and vivid, but I can't even describe this style of art. It looks so rad.
Yeah, it's just got a completely red background. It looks like Garbodor's spewing out sludge because it's got a sludge
It's so derpy.
But yeah, it's got pretty prominent colors. I mean, I wish it's like stomach pieces were other things other than just like a red and blue dot.
But that's what they are, dude.
I don't know. Garbotoxin was always a ability locking deck and really stopped a lot of trainers. So two very important Garbodor cards in the TCG competitive scene. If this had a tool attached to it, each Pokemon in play and each in player's hand and each player's discard pile had no abilities.
No abilities for you.
Garbotoxin.
I love it. I love that. It's so funny. But yo, what's up with this Imakuni card? Like, this is hilarious, right? I like it. This dude has made music for the anime, has done art for cards, and he's been the subject of a card himself. Like that's an amazing portfolio in the world.
That's a feat right there.
So cool, so cool. I'll link to the actual Imakuni trainer card too, because it is absolutely bizarre. It's the funniest thing. This next one is awesome. Shiny Garbodor. And this one is from Plasma Freeze. It's the secret rare version. Ayaka Yoshida is the illustrator. And Yoshida's been creating cards for like 10 years. And I was looking at the resume as far as what cards have been made. And there was Pokemon like Charizard, Mewtwo, a bunch of legendary Pokemon, like important Pokemon, prolific Pokemon this artist has created. So very, very, awesome when if you're an artist and you're creating some of the most iconic characters, that, your art is in well regard because they wouldn't just hand out a Charizard card to anybody. You know what I mean? So
or
in this
a secret rare Garbodor.
But like, what is going on in this card? Like it almost looks like it could be real. Like it's like I don't know. The texture is bizarre.
I think it's there's like a forest scene in the background and he's jumping high in the air and his sludge toss attack is actually just him tossing himself into the air.
Oh, that's so cool. And like the background is going out of focus because he's jumping up and it's so rad.
That's what it looks like.
But like, is this computer graphics? Like, how did they create this card? It like looks very unique. Like the art itself, I can't tell what format it is. What is it?
You got to check out the blog, but it is a shiny Garbodor.
Yeah.
So its colors are different now. Instead of the pink and blue, it's orange and green.
Yep.
For the little pieces inside of it.
Little pieces of junk.
Yeah.
But I really like the art on that. That's really cool. And then our final one to talk about here is from Vivid Voltage, so a more recent card. This one from Hasuno. And Hasuno has been only creating card art since Fates Collide, but has done like 70 cards since Fates Collide.
Oh my goodness.
Which is
That's
super
insane.
cool. Like, what is that? I don't know, a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago? Fates Collide? 3 years ago, maybe, for Fates Collide? Something like that. So in 3 years, like 3-4 years, already like 70 cards in production. That is so cool, man. What an amazing gig, right? Like, it's just, that's got to be so cool. Just being able to make these like iconic characters. Like, yeah, that's my art. So awesome. But let us know which one of these is your favorite. Check out the blog. Let us, tell us which ones, if you've had these. I'm sure if you're a competitive player, you've played a deck that had Trashalanche or Garbotoxin, either played it or played against it, because that was just super common. Super common.
I even like this new Garbodor. It does Trash Cyclone for 30 for 2 colorless. It says this attack does 30 damage for each Pokemon tool card in your discard pile. Then shuffle those cards back into your deck.
Yeah, that's remember, was it Field Blower?
Yes.
That was like, because for whatchamacallit, because for Garbotoxin, they had to have a tool card, so it was like you would run a Field Blower just to combat the Garbotoxin to get rid of the item card. I love that.
Yeah, because sometimes all you needed was one turn with abilities, because then you could drop your Pokemon like Dedenne to draw cards.
It's so good. That's so good. All right, well, Adam, we got some listener emails here. If you want to go through these, and then we can wrap this puppy up. What do you think?
All right. This first one is from Todd. It says, Ken, Adam, I have been bitten by the TCG bug. I dream of the sounds, the smells, and the pulls. I am 3 tins deep, and I have told myself, no more! Until I listen to special conditions and feel the FOMO of TN Comics Whiz packs. I am addicted to TCGO now, even though it makes my laptop sound like a 747 jet engine.
A 747. 747. That's great. Yo, for an old game, it does, like, it is a little bit of a resource hog, which is hilarious. But in this email, he then goes on to talk about, like, you know, Pokemon Go. He actually, Todd, it's Tuchek. He makes Pokemon Go content on TikTok. And, you know, so coming from the Pokemon Go world, and now, you know, we've helped with the convert over to the TCG side, which is so awesome. It's a slippery slope, man. Take it slow. Take it slow. But yo, my old laptop, when I would run the game, oh man. Yeah, that thing could take off. Like, the fans would be like full speed ahead the whole time. It was like, things are getting hot in here. We need to chill this out. Oh, and we got one more email. This one from Anthony. It says, "Hey, Adam and Josh." He's catching up on episodes. So this is a new email, but he's referencing an older episode. So that's why he's going back in time a little bit with Josh's previous episode before I took over. Says, so I'm in the past. I just listened to episode 67 with Card of the Week Keldeo EX. I got into playing PTCG for the first time in college when this set came out. This was my first deck I ever built with Keldeo EX, Deluge, Blastoise, and Kyogre EX. I still have it today as a reminder of how much fun this game is. I recently just got back into playing the game because of your podcast. Thanks so much, Anthony. Yes,
that's awesome.
Another one back into the hobby. Yes.
Welcome back, Anthony. If you need anything, let us know.
Yeah, that's super awesome. And I still have my original fire deck that I built in 1999 when I was hosting events for Wizards of the Coast. And would play against, like, you know, the 5 and 6 year olds at Toys R Us. I have my original deck still, which is so funny. So it's like, yeah, man, hold on to those nostalgic vibes. I think that's
probably
phenomenal.
has multiple Charizards in it.
It does have multiple Charizards in it, and like when you I've actually tried to play it recently, and like it's impossible to even get them out. Like, it's just, the deck doesn't work. It just has fire Pokemon and Charizards.
He's playing and shuffling Charizards, everyone.
I believe me, I shuffled very, very softly. Oh, that's so awesome. But before we wrap things up, I do want to give a huge shout out to our show supporter tier patrons: Ace Trainers, Adrock, Alex, Andrew, Brian, Brittany, Chad, Carol, Chris, Cody, Eric, Garrett, G-Stacks87, Griggle788, Harry, Hercross Boss, James, Jason, J. Mackle, Justin, Kanto, Cody, Ken, Lynchbot, MD, Mike, M-Pits, Pokenabot, Purple Pancakes, Ricky, Sam, Smeatwad, Todd, The Noise, and Wood, Woes, Wolf. Thank you, everyone, for your continued support. It's amazing. We couldn't do this stuff without you. We really, really do appreciate it. It means the world to us. But Adam, I think that's a show, dude.
It's definitely a show. And you can email us like the others, a.k.a. Todd and Anthony. info@specialconditionstcg.com. Leave us a voicemail, text us, send us a picture, 732-835-8639. And Ken, that's a show. So, trainers, remember, if you're affected by a special condition, don't forget to use a full heal.